It. All right, here we are. Hi, everybody. Happy Wednesday night. This is our weekly team call, and thank you so much for being on. Hi, Melanie. Hi, Sherry. We are recording, and Jake is leading our team call tonight. I'm super excited about what he has to say. Actually, I think he's got enough content for 2 team calls, so probably, hopefully, get another one out of him. But he's in a hurry because he has a hot date tonight with me. We're going out to dinner tonight, guys. I'm like an hour away from him. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over. I hope you guys have pen and paper. I know I do. All right, Jake, school us.
Thank you. This great turnout. Thank you all so much for being here. Just for including myself. I'm looking forward to it. It's gonna be awesome. I'm looking forward to this call. What I'm gonna talk to you about, it's nothing new. You've probably heard it all before. Nothing groundbreaking, but I think it's super important. I think it's a really great reminder. I think if done properly can really improve our own personal fitness and nutrition, but also teach us a whole lot about how we can better improve the fitness and nutrition of our challengers, which is why we're here, obviously. And what I'm going to be talking about is what I call changing the signal. It could also be referred to as breaking the plateau or hitting the plateau. So before I get started, what are the reasons that we hit a plateau? We basically hit a plateau. Sorry. It's hard for me to present when I'm like, I don't know, it's uncomfortable for me for some reason, but we basically hit a plateau. Adapted. So we send signals to our body through what we eat, the type of exercise we do, the amount of sleep we're getting. There's all kinds of signals going to the body, and once our body basically becomes adapted to it, it kind of slows down. It becomes used to whatever is going around. It finds homeostasis, which is basically balanced equilibrium that it really desires. So it basically wants to make everything easy. It can sometimes hold us back. So basically, in order to avoid hitting plateaus, we need to. So an easy example of this, of how our body adapts, is if you take somebody that hasn't been working out for a while and they start, maybe they're training for a marathon, like a lot of long distance running, a lot of long distance like cardio, for example. That first few weeks experiencing, it's going to be burning a ton of calories. You're going to be like losing inches, losing weight. Your gains are probably your mile time will probably be skyrocketing. Okay, but inevitably, what happens is over time the body adapts to that stress. It becomes more efficient, less calories, burning less fat. Our progress slows. Okay. Now, I'm not just picking on cardio. Same thing happens with weight training. I experience this quite often, in which a weight that I'm becoming used to, the type of exercise we need to be constantly changing things up. So basically, all in all, we need to find ways to help our body avoid adaptation. We need to be changing things constantly. So plateaus really can happen with nutrition, with exercise. For a good example of this, how many of you 3 drink Energize regularly, or coffee? All right. Or heroin, like any sort of chemical. Are you finding that like one serving, whether it's Energize or coffee, for example, is not giving you the same effect that it used to? Are you like adding a little more Energize at the end? I am. I'm almost at 2 scoops now. And at the beginning, 1 scoop would like crack me out, super jittery, super tingly. But over time, the body's adapting to it. It becomes less efficient with that signal that we're sending, which is energizer or caffeine or what have you. And so we're having to give a little bit more to it. Whereas probably the most effective thing is actually, instead of adding more to it, to cut it out for a while, completely change the signal, completely alter the signal. The same thing happens for, like, I take creatine after I lift. It's another thing. Okay. These are all things that we're obviously experiencing regularly, but also our challengers are as well. So diving into ways that I see to best alter our nutrition, to make sure we're not on a nutrition plateau, so we're always keeping our body guessing, keeping our body changing, and struggling in a way, because that's when it's going to be burning the most calories, burning the most fat, and getting us the best results. There's something that I love that we can easily utilize with our portion. It's called zigzagging the portions. So just for easy math, let's pretend like we have 10 containers per day. And so the zigzag, like most of the time, every day you're going to have your 10 and you're aiming to get 0 calories or 0 containers left at the end of the day. Well, zigzagging is going to be containers. The next day you're going down 4 or 5 containers, and you're going back and forth. So your body never has an opportunity to guess what's coming next. It never has an opportunity to adapt. We're always messing with our calories, ups and downs. Now at the end of the week, the calorie count is still going, or the container count, I should say, is still going to be the same. We're not eating any more, any less necessarily, but it's just giving our bodies a little bit of stress, a little bit of guessing to keep things always changing, which is really important. We can all, I mean, and I recommend all of you, obviously on this call, but those listening, experiment, play around with things, see how you feel, see how your body responds, because that's really going to be the biggest tell of what's working for you. But I will tell you 100%, if you've been doing the same exact thing for a year or 2, even 6 months or more, or like even 3 months or more, I mean, it depends how fast your body adapts, but you're going to be wanting a change, and you're going to be really thankful that you did. Other opportunities to change up nutrition, some people go on a super strict paleo. And I'm not talking about long-term. I'm talking about just short-term, enough to give the body a little bit of a guessing game, a little bit of a signal change. But, you know, going strict paleo can really push people's nutrition limits. Obviously, gluten-free is a big one. One that, especially if you're a carnivore and you're eating tons of meat and tons of protein, try going vegetarian or vegan for a few weeks. Anywhere, I don't know, 1, 2, 3 weeks, whatever works best for you. One thing I experimented with that I liked for a small amount of time was a really low carb, high fat diet. It worked really well at the beginning because the signal was completely different from what my body's accustomed to. Then I noticed after about a month and a half, it was no longer serving me well. I didn't feel as good on it. My body wasn't reacting as well to it. So I've cycled back on the carbs. And I plan on, you know, once again, going up and down, cycling through, just keeping my body guessing. But that's some of the ideas that I have for nutrition changes. I'm sure you all have plenty others. That was just a short list I put together. And then there's the exercise portion. In my opinion, Tony Horton says it best. He calls it muscle confusion. And it's so simple. Instead of doing the same exact thing all the time and letting your body get accustomed to what you're doing, he focuses on muscle confusion. So things are always changing. The rep count, the different angles is really important. I remember, I'll tell you a quick story. When I was in high school, I was doing like the basic high school workout, which is pretty much only caring about my biceps and my chest. Like I was just doing curls and bench press pretty much the whole time. I like pick a higher weight just so I looked super cool. But let's pretend I was doing like 200 pounds. I could not break past the 200-pound mark. I couldn't do it. For weeks, I was trying to bust through it, but that was my plateau. I had completely flattened out. And so it wasn't from when I went from flat bench, I went ahead and started doing decline bench for about 3 weeks. Just doing that, my regular numbers, my regular routine, my regular weight with decline bench. Then when I went back to flat bench after like 3 weeks, I blew past it by quite a bit. Like I think it was 225 was what I got to after that. And so just that simple tweak, I didn't adjust any weight or anything. It was just the angle from which I was stressing my body with had changed. And so once I got back to my normal routine, I blew right past it. So that's just a little example of how small little tweaks in our exercise can really help. I know a lot of you are doing 80-day obsession, and what Beachbody is really great about is phasing the workouts. So like if you have a 3-month program, for example, like P90X or some of those longer programs, month 1 is going to be different from month 2, and month 2 is going to be different than month 3. So there's this natural progression that happens to keep the body guessing and changing. And I think Shift Shop does a really good job of that. With the ramping up, there's no opportunity for the body to adapt to it when you're consistently bringing a new challenge. And once you get to the top of that challenge, it's okay to cycle back down to the bottom again. You're probably going to notice your strength has increased, so maybe you're going up in weight. Maybe you're able to notch up the intensity a little bit. So going back to zero, cycling back around to the beginning of a program, there's nothing wrong with that. It's wonderful, and Beachbody is great about phasing the workouts for us, so we don't have to be doing the guessing. But if you're not following a program and just kind of doing your own workouts, little things to adjust are the reps, the amount of weight you're using, the angles, like I talked about, just super easy stuff. And also, I kind of touched on this earlier, and this is an obvious one, but I see a lot of certainly a lot of my challengers are dealing with this, and I think a lot of coaches do as well. We're guilty of falling into what we are most comfortable with. So like for me, my guilt is I lift way more than I do cardio. I lift a lot because I'm good at lifting. I really enjoy lifting, and I'm not very good at cardio, and I don't really like cardio, which probably means that's exactly what I should be doing, right? Because I'm getting used to that signal. I enjoy that signal. So like one of my challengers, she's always doing Pilates. Every single workout is Pilates. And do you think she's at her goal? She's not. Her body's so accustomed to it. She's so good at it now. She really enjoys it, which is wonderful. That's a huge, obviously this should be fun. So that there's a huge value to that. But in terms of hitting goals, you're not going to get there by doing the exact same thing all the time. You need to change. This behind it, the science behind it is pretty neat. I love some of that stuff. The way our body is an adaptation machine. It adapts so quickly. In some cases, I think the science is like about 4 weeks on average is when the body adapts. So some things to consider about when we start cycling off something and onto something else, changing. And what I was thinking about, a question I was posing myself as I'm putting together this content for you all is, do you think this changing the signal only applies to nutrition and exercise, or does it apply to life in general? Like, let's think about work. What happened when we're super burnt out with work? We're, probably working too much, staying up too late, getting up too early. What happens when we go on vacation? Like a 2-week vacation, complete relaxation, chill out, we get back to normal. We're going back to the exact same job, doing the exact same duties with the exact same people and the exact same boss. But all of a sudden, things are so drastically different because we changed the signal. We gave ourselves a little opportunity to mix things up, which is really important. Relationships, like, gosh, what if you're always doing the same exact thing with your significant other and you're both getting kind of bored and burnt out with it? Switch it up, change the signal, like, go out of town, do something new, So anyways, I'm sure you can all apply this sort of thing to your lives. Within Beachbody, for me, like my most difficult thing is inviting. Inviting's hard for me. So when I'm on an inviting streak, little by little, it fades away. Like if I'm aiming for 10 invites a day, by the end of maybe 2 or 3 weeks, I'm probably down to 3 or 4 because I'm getting tired, I'm getting burnt out. So for me, the biggest benefit is actually to change the signal, cut that out completely for like 3 days. And then when I get back to it, I'm back up to that high range again because I altered the signal, I changed things up. And sometimes the thing we need most is just a little rest. A little rest, a little more sleep. People forget that, especially like this day and age. I feel like we're so in the like hashtag beast mode, hashtag no days off, like grind, no matter what. And that is going to put people onto a plateau as well. Way overdoing it, like massive fatigue without allowing our bodies to recover and rest is a huge plateau inducer as well. So obviously for everybody listening, but also for our challengers, some of these people are trying to work their way to a goal, and sometimes they need to tone it back a little bit. So I just wanted to bring that up as a reminder as well. So yeah, that's pretty much the gist of what I wanted to discuss today. I am curious, as while you were all listening, is there anything that popped up in your life that you're seeing as maybe too much of a trend that you need to start altering things? Are there any signals that you're willing to change? And are you willing to share them? Got to be something.
Going through right now where I've been doing a lot of subbing lately, and I know it's because parents are on vacation with the kids, so tired. I'm teaching different classes, but because I'm doing the same routine, getting burnout and I'm getting restless. So it's time for me to shut down right now.
Yeah, it's important. I know for me, I already touched on it a little bit, but for me, my weightlifting is super fun. I really enjoy it. And I'm getting like some of the muscle mass goals, and I'm getting some of the strength goals that I want, but I'm not leaning out like I want to. And so for me, the biggest signal change I need, and this is obviously the physical exercise side of things, but I need to get some more cardio in there. Like I started doing some T25. I need to help my mobility with yoga. So I think combining all those three signals is going to be beneficial. But lately, I've just been throwing one signal at myself, and it's going to be a big alteration of mine. We even, Kristen and I in our challenge group, we brought this up. We made a video talking pretty much about what I just discussed with you guys. And what I think we're going to be doing, we're normally running a 3-week group every month. So we'll do 3 weeks on and 1 week off. So what I think we're going to be doing is that week we normally take off, I'm going to rename that signal week. And so for 3 weeks, we're going to be doing our regular approach, whatever it is, regular program, regular nutrition. And then that 1 week off, we're going to alter things pretty drastically, confuse the heck out of our body, change our nutrition, change our exercise. And then when we get back to that 3 weeks, we'll be back to our regular routine, unless people want to extend signal week longer into the next 3 weeks and then revert back after that. So I'm excited to see what that brings. Anybody else like to share a signal change they're planning?
I have one. Before 80 day, I'm doing the 80-day obsession, and before that, I was nutrition wasn't that hard for me. My nephew, so he might. Nutrition was actually easy for me. It was the working out part that was really hard, wasn't consistent. And starting the program, I was on the nutrition, I was getting used to the workouts, and then I don't know, phase 2, I just hit a plateau on the nutrition part. I kind of started slacking on the nutrition because I started feeling more comfortable with the workouts. And so phase 3, I've completely plateaued with following the nutrition and just keeping up on the portion containers. And so, you talk about circling back to the first phase, and just I see that plateau. So it's like you said, take that time, and I have to figure out what I'm going to do to kind of get back on both the nutrition and the exercise, because the nutrition part, I really hit a plateau. But I feel a lot more comfortable. It feels more natural to exercise. So that's kind of my struggle right now.
Yeah, sure. That's a big one. Thank you. Ellen, I feel like you have something to share.
I have some thoughts, but my connection is really bad. Can you hear me?
Right now we can, yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Oh my gosh, Melanie, your nephew is so cute. He's like a pendulum behind you. I was going to say the same, I think, applies to our business too. If we're always doing the same thing, we're going to hit a plateau and become white noise to people. And that's basically what this Jake is talking about, is like the exercise almost becomes white noise to our bodies and our nutrition, because we're so amazing at adapting. the body's amazing at adapting to what we do to it, and that can be awesome, and it can also work against us. So I love this challenge. I hope the whole team takes a hard look and asks the hard questions in terms of our own bodies and what program, like what comes to mind. Like Body Beast comes to mind when he's like, what would be like maybe something you wouldn't like that would be out of your comfort zone. But it's probably like, I'd rather do 3-week yoga retreat all day, every day. But I probably should do Body Beast, that kind of thing. So the other thing is, before he even said relationships, before Jake brought that point up, I didn't know he was going to say that. I was thinking that Jan compliments me a lot, but it's like always the same way. And so it kind of becomes white noise. And I feel like he doesn't ever compliment me. He does. It's just always the same way. But like, I think 2 weeks ago, like Sunday before last, he was able to come to church with me, and he paid me the most unusual, unexpected, like out of the blue, totally different compliment. And it like still, like to this day, is like, it just was profoundly meaningful to me. And I felt so touched. And, it's not that he's never compliments me. It's just the way he always does it is always the same. So it's just become like whatever. So I don't know. It's really good stuff. I think we do within Beachbody have a lot of things to try on and play with in terms of fitness and nutrition, from duration of program to whether it's container focused or, we've got Alana's new program coming out, which is going to be mindset focused for nutrition. So anyway, that's all I have. It was a great topic.
Yeah. Are there any questions? Anything else you guys would like to share?
Rosie wants to talk.
Yeah. Give me that microphone. So anyways, yeah, just in conclusion, like I said, nothing groundbreaking here. This is all things that I imagine most people listening to this call already knew, but it's a different thing knowing it and understanding it and believing it and putting it into practice. It's really important. We're so used to finding our homeostasis, finding our balance, finding the easy route and sticking to that when we need to be constantly challenging ourselves and changing the signal. So, and unless there are any follow-ups or questions or anything, I will let you guys enjoy the rest of your night.
Thank you guys for being
Anything else, you guys? You guys are awesome. Thank you.
Diane's hair is
Thank
awesome.
you, buddy. All right, guys. Good night.